All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into New Delhi, a city that I think pretty much everyone knows is absolutely bursting with color and life and incredible food.
Yeah.
So we have an article here that one of our listeners sent in titled
Sure.
Discovering New Delhi, a guide to India's dynamic capital. And it looks like it's from some sort of travel website.
Sounds perfect.
And today we are going to be extracting all the essence from this article and really giving everyone a clear picture of what it's like to be in New Delhi, what to look out for, and some tips
Sounds great.
if you ever decide to go.
I love it. New Delhi is really a fascinating place.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting mix of the ancient and the modern.
Yeah, the article talks about this a lot, this real difference between Old Delhi and New Delhi.
Right.
And that really comes across.
Right. And it's so captivating because you can be in Old Delhi, maybe sipping some chai in a market that's been there for centuries.
Yeah.
And then just hop on the metro and suddenly you're in a super modern area with buildings that could be anywhere in the world.
And this article says that New Delhi was actually founded in 1911.
Oh, wow.
And inaugurated in 1931.
Okay, so it's fairly recent.
Yeah, pretty young compared to the ancient heart of Old Delhi.
Especially compared to Old Delhi, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now let's talk about some of the must-see spots that the article brings up.
Okay.
And first on the list is, well, I think maybe the most famous, India Gate.
Okay.
And it highlights the eternal flame that burns beneath the arch.
Yeah, I'm not usually one to get emotional at monuments, but there's something about that eternal flame
Yeah.
that is really powerful.
Yeah.
It's not just symbolic. It's a constant reminder
Mhm.
of the sacrifices that Indian soldiers have made.
Right. And it was actually lit in 1972 to pay tribute to the soldiers who died in the Bangladesh Liberation War.
Oh, wow.
So, it's really a living symbol of remembrance.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because it's not just for tourists. It's really a gathering place for locals, too. So you see families having picnics on the lawns, kids playing, people just going about their everyday lives.
It's nice, yeah.
It really embodies that mix of history and daily life that you get in New Delhi.
All right, next stop on our tour
Okay.
is the Red Fort.
Uh-huh.
And the article talks about its massive red sandstone walls and its intricate Mughal architecture,
Yeah.
which honestly
Incredible, right?
doesn't even begin to cover how grand this place really is.
Right.
I mean, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site for a reason
Absolutely.
and served as the main residence of Mughal emperors for nearly 200 years.
Oh, wow.
The article talks about a sound and light show in the evening, so
Okay.
imagine seeing those walls lit up against the night sky,
Oh, that would be incredible.
as they tell these stories of the emperors and the empires.
Yeah, and speaking of Mughal architecture,
Yeah,
that's really one of the things that defines the Red Fort.
yeah,
The red sandstone, the marble work, the gardens,
it's breathtaking.
it really is.
All right, get ready to crane your neck because up next we're going to the Qutb Minar,
Okay.
which, according to this article, is the tallest brick minaret in the world.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, built in the 13th century, adorned with verses from the Quran.
Okay.
I can't imagine the level of craftsmanship that went into building something like that, especially back then.
Oh, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, too.
Oh, really?
So there's a reason it's so famous.
Okay,
And it's not just the height, it's the details carved into the brick.
right.
The verses from the Quran add another layer of meaning.
And all the ruins around it just tell these stories of past empire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, from towering heights to serene beauty, let's move on to the Lotus Temple.
Uh-huh.
This one is a modern architectural marvel
Okay.
that is shaped like a blooming lotus flower.
Oh, wow.
And what struck me was that it's open to people of all faiths.
Oh, that's really special.
Yeah, really emphasizing this idea of unity and peace.
Mhm.
So I imagine it's quite tranquil amidst the chaos of the city.
Yeah, the Lotus Temple was actually finished in 1986.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's pretty recent,
Okay.
but it's quickly become one of the main symbols of the city.
Okay.
It represents modernity and interfaith harmony, which is so important in a place like New Delhi.
Yeah, and those 9 pools that surround the temple,
Oh, yeah.
they represent the unfolding petals of the lotus flower, right?
That's right. They really create this serene and peaceful atmosphere.
Now, we can't talk about India without mentioning the Taj Mahal,
Of course.
but it's not in Delhi. So
Oh.
the article highlights Humayun's tomb as a must-see because it's often called the precursor to the Taj Mahal.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and you can see the similarities, especially in the Mughal architecture.
So it's a good alternative if you don't have time to make it to Agra.
Exactly. Humayun's tomb is stunning,
Uh-huh.
especially the gardens.
Yeah, it really showcases the beauty of Mughal garden design.
Now let's move on to the Akshardham Temple, which seems to have it all.
Right.
Intricate carving,
Yeah.
a water show, an IMAX movie,
Okay.
and even a historical boat ride.
Oh, wow.
I'm not even sure where to begin with this one.
It's amazing how India is able to maintain their heritage while embracing new technology.
Right, yeah.
And the Akshardham Temple really shows that.
It's not just a place of worship, then.
Not at all. It's a full experience.
It really celebrates Indian history, art, and spirituality.
Absolutely.
And those carvings.
Oh, the carvings are incredible.
Yeah.
The detail is just mind-blowing.
Now get those senses ready because we're heading to Chandni Chowk and the spice market.
All right, let's go.
So, picture this. You're walking down these narrow lanes, life is happening all around you, you pass shops overflowing with textiles, jewelry, and then the aroma of spices hits you from Kari Bauli, which is apparently Asia's largest wholesale spice market.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, I mean, I can only imagine what that's like.
Chandni Chowk is definitely an experience.
Yeah.
It's one of the oldest and busiest markets in all of Old Delhi, and it really sums up the energy and diversity of the city.
It sounds like sensory overload in the best possible way.
It really is, yeah.
And the spice market, I mean, you have to go there if you're a foodie.
Right, if you like to cook or you just want to see all those amazing colors and smells, it's essential.
And speaking of foodie things,
Okay.
let's talk about the street food in New Delhi,
Oh yeah, the street food is legendary.
which I have heard is an adventure in itself.
Absolutely. Street food is so important to Indian culture.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of all the different cuisines across the country.
Okay.
In Delhi, you can find all sorts of things, from chaat, which is like a crispy fried dough with potatoes, chutneys, and yogurt,
Wow.
to samosas, those delicious fried pastries with potatoes and peas.
Yeah.
And then there's kebabs grilled right there over charcoal.
Oh, wow.
And parathas, which are flaky flatbreads with all kinds of fillings.
Now I'm getting hungry.
I know, me too.
This article recommends a couple places. Kareem's,
Okay.
which is near Jama Masjid, and that's supposed to have authentic Mughlai food,
Okay.
and Parantha Wali Gali in Chandni Chowk for parathas.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, before we plan our whole imaginary food tour,
Right.
let's talk about Dilli Hot.
Okay.
What's special about this market?
Well, Dilli Hot is an open-air market, and what makes it unique is that it brings together crafts and food from all over India.
Really?
Yeah, so you can find authentic handicrafts and jewelry
Okay.
and try regional dishes from different states.
Okay, so you can really experience all the diversity of India in one place.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, for a truly immersive experience, the article recommends a rickshaw ride through Old Delhi.
Oh yeah, rickshaw ride is something else.
I bet.
It's an adventure, a bit chaotic, but it's the best way to get the energy of Old Delhi.
Okay.
Imagine you're weaving through these little lanes past old mosques and bazaars.
Yeah.
People selling everything you can imagine.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is, but it's amazing.
Okay, let's say we are sold on New Delhi, and we're booking our flights. What are some tips for us?
Okay, so the best time to visit is during the cooler months,
Okay.
which is from October to March.
Yeah.
Summers can be brutally hot and humid.
God.
As for getting around, the Delhi Metro is really efficient.
Okay.
So that's a good option.
Good to know.
For shorter distances, you can always take taxis or auto rickshaws.
Yeah.
And like in any big city, you just want to be careful with your belongings.
Right. Be aware of your surroundings.
Exactly, especially in crowded areas.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
Our crash course in New Delhi.
It's a city with so much to offer.
It really does. From ancient wonders to modern marvels, from bustling markets to serene temples, it seems like there's something for everybody.
And don't forget the food.
Oh yeah, the food. I'm not going to forget the food.
This city will definitely tantalize your taste buds.
Absolutely. You know, it's amazing how one city can hold such a mix of things, you know.
It really is, yeah.
Old and new and so much diversity. It's incredible.
And we've only just scratched the surface, really.
Yeah.
There's so much more to explore.
I mean, thinking about that mix of old and new, I wonder what it's like for the people who live in New Delhi, you know?
Right, like how do they navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, it must be a constant balancing act between these deeply rooted traditions and modern life.
Absolutely. On one hand, you have Old Delhi with centuries of history and tradition.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, New Delhi is constantly pushing the boundaries of progress and innovation.
So they're living in a city that's always moving, always changing, but still connected to its past.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, I'm curious about the role that markets play in people's daily lives in New Delhi.
Oh, yeah?
Are they just places to shop, or is there more to it?
I mean, markets in India are so much more than just places to shop, especially in a city like Delhi.
Okay.
They're like social hubs full of energy and sense of community.
Right, like Chandni Chowk, which we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
It's not just about the spices and the textiles, it's about the whole atmosphere.
Right, the interactions between people, the stories being shared, the connections being made.
Yeah, it's like stepping into a living, breathing organism.
That's a great way to put it.
And that sense of community, I think, is so valuable, especially nowadays.
Absolutely. In a world that's becoming increasingly individualistic.
Yeah.
New Delhi really holds on to that spirit of togetherness.
You know, that's one of the things I love about travel, how it opens your eyes to different ways of life.
Me too.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate things you might take for granted at home.
Okay, if we were to sum up what we've learned about New Delhi so far, what would be the key takeaways?
Well, I think the biggest one is that contrast between old and New Delhi.
Yeah.
It's what makes the city so unique.
And of course, the richness and diversity of the culture.
Absolutely. The food, the markets, the festivals. It's an incredible sensory experience.
Oh, and we can't forget the architecture.
Right. From the Red Fort to the Lotus Temple, it's a visual feast.
I mean, it's like a living museum of architectural styles.
Speaking of museums, Delhi has tons of those too.
Yeah. Okay.
Each one offering a glimpse into a different part of Indian history and culture.
So we've got history, culture, architecture, spirituality, vibrant street life.
It really is an exceptional city.
What more could you ask for?
I think the final takeaway is that New Delhi challenges you. It challenges your senses, your preconceptions, even your comfort zone.
But it also rewards you with these unforgettable experiences.
Exactly, and a deeper understanding of India's culture.
Okay, so let's say someone's planning their first trip to New Delhi.
Right.
What advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, be prepared for sensory overload.
Okay.
It's a city that bombards you with sights, sounds, smells, and tastes.
Right, like we were saying earlier.
It can be a lot to take in, but try to embrace it.
Yeah, it's all part of the experience.
And do your research. Plan your itinerary carefully.
There's just so much to see and do.
Exactly. So figure out what you want to prioritize and give yourself enough time to really explore those things.
Don't forget to pack your patience, too.
Oh, that's good advice. Things move at a different pace in India.
Right.
So be prepared for things to not always go according to plan.
Just go with the flow.
Exactly. And embrace the unexpected.
Maybe learn a few basic Hindi phrases before you go.
Oh, definitely. Even just hello, thank you so much.
Right.
It can really help with communication. And it shows respect for the local culture.
What about safety?
Like any big city, you just need to be aware of your surroundings.
Okay.
Don't flash your cash around. Be mindful of your belongings, especially in crowded places.
And avoid walking alone in deserted areas at night. Right.
Exactly. Common sense goes a long way.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
Right.
People in Delhi are generally very friendly and welcoming.
It's been such an insightful deep dive.
I know, it feels like we've only just started to uncover the magic of New Delhi.
It's a city that just draws you in.
Definitely.
So is there anything about New Delhi that we didn't get to talk about today that you think our listeners might find interesting?
You know, one thing that comes to mind is the religious diversity.
Oh, right.
We talked about the temples, but there are also mosques, churches, gurdwaras.
So many different faiths represented.
Exactly. It's really a unique spiritual tapestry.
And we didn't really touch on the arts and culture scene either.
Oh, yeah, there are theaters, art galleries, music venues.
So many hidden gems just waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely.
I'm already feeling the wanderlust kicking in.
Me too.
So much to explore.
Before we wrap up this part,
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
If you had to sum up New Delhi in just one word, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I know, right?
I mean, there are so many words that come to mind. Vibrant, chaotic, enchanting, historic.
I think for me, the word that captures it best is kaleidoscopic.
Kaleidoscopic.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay.
City of constant motion, transformation, colors, cultures, experiences, all blending together.
Right.
It's ancient and modern, serene and chaotic, spiritual and worldly.
And like a kaleidoscope, it's always shifting, always showing you something new.
Exactly.
I love that kaleidoscopic. It really does capture the essence of New Delhi.
Yeah, the sensory overload, the cultural richness, the dynamism.
It's a word that I'm going to remember. As we've been talking about New Delhi, I keep thinking back to something you mentioned earlier about the city challenging people's comfort zones.
Yeah.
Why do you think New Delhi does that? What is it about this city that really pushes travelers?
I think for a lot of people, it's just the intensity of it all.
Right.
The crowds, the noise, the traffic, the heat.
Yeah.
It's a lot, especially if you're not used to that kind of environment.
Right. It's like all your senses are working overtime.
Yeah, exactly.
Constantly bombarded with new things.
And then you add the cultural differences on top of that.
Yeah.
Like how people interact, the food, the customs.
It's a lot to adjust to.
But I think it's in those moments when you're outside your comfort zone, that's when you really grow.
Yeah, you learn so much about yourself.
And about the world around you.
So, for someone who's maybe a little intimidated by the idea of traveling to New Delhi, what advice would you give them?
Well, I'd say go with an open mind and a sense of adventure.
Yeah.
Embrace the unknown, expect the unexpected.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to get lost. Try new things, even if they seem a little scary at first.
It's all part of the experience.
Right. And don't hesitate to ask for help.
Good point.
People in Delhi are really kind and helpful, especially towards visitors.
Sometimes I think we forget that even though there are all these differences, we're all human at the end of the day.
That's so true.
And we all want the same basic things.
Yeah, connection, kindness, understanding.
I would also say, pace yourself.
Oh yeah, that's important.
Don't try to do too much.
Right. Give yourself time to relax and just soak it all in.
Maybe spend some time in one of those peaceful gardens.
Yeah, or sit and have some chai at a street stall. Just watch the world go by.
And do some research beforehand, right?
Yeah, it's always good to learn a little bit about Indian culture and customs.
And learn a few basic Hindi phrases.
Absolutely. Even just a few words can show that you're making an effort.
And most importantly,
have fun.
Yeah, don't forget to have fun.
New Delhi is an amazing city. It'll challenge you. It'll surprise you.
But it will reward you with memories that will last a lifetime.
It really will.
So, to sum it all up, we've really explored New Delhi.
We have.
Its history, its landmarks, its culture, its cuisine, its people.
It's a city that has it all.
And it's clear that New Delhi is much more than just a place you visit.
It really is. It's a transformative experience.
It's a city that stays with you, challenges your perspective, expands your horizons.
And leaves you with a new appreciation for the world.
So if you're looking for an adventure, something that will push you and excite you, then New Delhi is calling.
Pack your bags, embrace the chaos, enjoy the incredible food.
And get ready for an unforgettable experience.
Absolutely.
Happy travels, everyone.